before I fell asleep, in that weird time where weird thoughts enter your mind. When's the last time that you saw a commercial for batteries?
Okay, when I think of commercials for batteries, I immediately think of the Energizer Bunny. But I don't know when the last time was that I actually saw or heard like a commercial.
Yeah. Okay, so I was thinking about this too because I had to buy some batteries for a flashlight yesterday. And so I was like on Amazon looking at the batteries and I'm like, should we get Energizer or Duracell? I don't know which one is actually better. And then we were talking about the old battery commercials. And I swear, I feel like there was a battery war, like a battery media war at one time where I feel like I was always seeing Energizer commercials and then there'd be a Duracell commercial. Yeah. And it was a back and forth, almost like Coke and Pepsi or something like that, where I feel like constantly I was seeing these things. And where did that go? Is it just gone now? Like, do they not have to sell batteries to us in the way that they used to?
Okay, so this is actually funny because I was packing over the weekend to go camping and I have a list of stuff that I shouldn't forget to go camping on my camping list. And one of the things that I had on the list was AA batteries. But then I sat there and I was like, why am I bringing AA batteries? I don't even think I have anything that a AA battery goes into anymore because all my stuff is USB rechargeable things.
Right? So that got me to thinking, do we just use a lot less batteries? Because I do have things that require batteries. Like, so the flashlight's a great example. My keyboard takes a battery because it's wireless. My mouse does. So there are definitely a few things around the house, but I don't have to like change them often. But then it got me thinking, like, how many things did we have back in like the 90s, early 2000s that required batteries? And were they just like that much more of a commodity that we were being bombarded by these commercials?
I mean, when's the last time you used like a D-cell battery?
Well, that's what I ordered for the flashlight. Oh. Yeah. And that's why I was like, man, we do not have any of these. I don't even know what else we would need them for.
Yeah. I just think that there's so many more rechargeable things these days.
And then it also got me to thinking, we were mostly a Duracell household. Batteries that we had most often. And so I'm kind of partial to those. I'm guessing they might have just been a little bit cheaper than Energizer. I also remember thinking as a kid that like Energizer batteries must be just really good. Well, because their advertising worked on me, I guess, because the bunny was just always going.
Always going. I don't think we were a battery specific household. I'm pretty sure it was just whatever was cheaper or whatever we had a coupon for.
Yes.
And quite frankly, the batteries that are currently in my home are all generic Wegmans brand. I can picture the Energizer commercials, but I also can picture the Duracell commercials because they were like the battery like coming together. It was like doom, doom.
Yes. It's like you'd see an Energizer with the Energizer bunny, and then the Duracell ones were like so serious, and they were like Duracell, the copper top. Yeah. It made me nostalgic. I don't know. And I was just like, man, I don't see commercials for batteries. I'm Katie.
And I'm Emily.
We're two long-distance best friends with a passion for learning about all the things that make everyday life interesting.
With my PhD in geography.
And my master's in library science.
Doing deep dives on topics is our idea of a fun time together. We'll share our findings with you on
Researching the Obvious.
Speaking of commercials, to be honest, I don't feel like I really even watch that many commercials anymore, period.
That's
or at
true.
Least not how I used to, because even when we were in college and watching TV, you had to watch commercials. I just don't feel like I watch commercials. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I guess I'm also thinking about maybe ads in general. But like now that would be social media, YouTube, it could be many things. So they're not your traditional commercials that used to be just in between shows.
In between shows. Because we watched TV in college, but I couldn't tell you like any specific commercials that were like a big thing.
That's true. I don't really remember. They're not very memorable.
No. And there probably would have been good commercials because what we were watching in college, like we had like our American Idol nights in college. And
yes,
there was probably good
Tuesday
commercials
night.
During that because it was American Idol and it was popular.
Yeah.
So brands probably paid to like have commercial spots during that.
I definitely remember some cosmetics commercials. I feel like I paid attention to, I don't know, Biore pore strips and CoverGirl, probably because we were also watching America's Next Top Model. Then it's like I start paying attention to those commercials.
Yeah, exactly. Those were for sure CoverGirl commercials, like every commercial break on America's Next Top Model, because the whole show was basically sponsored by CoverGirl. And I still use CoverGirl makeup, so it must have worked on me.
Yeah. The millennial urge. Use CoverGirl makeup. I don't know. We were probably busy talking on the commercials.
Yeah. Because we had American Idol nights Tuesdays, were American Idol nights, and we would get together and we would have dinner and stuff and watch.
Yeah, we made
American
a dinner.
Idol.
Our friends would come over and we'd watch the live American Idol show.
Yes. To be honest, I don't really remember actually voting.
You know, I'm not sure that I ever really did either. I mean, surely we had to send in a text.
We had to have been voting.
We had to T9 that stuff because we had opinions about who we wanted to win.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember the big season that we watched was the David Archuleta season.
Yeah.
Yeah, that season was like the Battle of the Davids.
Yes.
So season 7 would have been the first one that we watched together, and then Adam Lambert was probably the second one.
Well, that one was in 2009. We must have been talking about that.
Yeah. When we left college, the first season that they showed after we left college, we would like have phone chats about it.
That's what it was.
So that must have been it. And then I didn't really watch American Idol after that. I don't think I've watched it since then. I know it's still on, but
I watched the first season. Did you watch the first season?
No, but that song was my junior prom song.
That's really funny. The Kelly Clarkson song. Yeah.
What was that song? The Moment Like This. That was the one that was my prom song.
Okay.
Yeah. A moment like this.
Yes, I remember that. I had a friend who was like, I want to watch the singing competition that's going to be on. Like, I saw a commercial for it and I'm interested, and I watched it with her. And if you go back and watch the first season, man, the production quality is so low compared to what it is today. It's like they look like they're on a stage, like in a hotel ballroom kind of deal. It's like, oh man.
I mean, honestly, that's like the first couple seasons of America's Next Top Model, though.
Yes, it's true.
Those seasons are so low in production quality.
Yep.
Basically, we watched American Idol, and then in the fall, it like morphed into watching an America's Next Top Model because American Idol wasn't on.
Okay. Yeah.
Because then we started having our America's Next Top Model nights where everyone would watch America's Next Top Model together, which that show was life.
We were really into that.
Yeah. The best day ever was when it was like a Saturday and you didn't have anything to do and you turned on the TV and you were like, oh shoot, there's an America's Next Top Model marathon on. Gonna watch the whole thing. Spend the entire day just watching
this. Episode after episode after episode.
100%.
Yep. And then we also had some lesser known shows that we picked up somehow.
Right. I think it's because America's Next Top Model ended and we were like, oh, what should we watch now?
Yes. What's next?
And ended up being Rock of Love with Bret Michaels.
That one was absurd.
They were like on a bus.
A tour bus.
And like traveling around with Bret Michaels. And then every week he'd give the roses out at the end to the people he wanted to stay on the competition. And they'd play Rose
has its thorn. Yeah.
Oh my God.
He wore eyeliner on every episode.
Oh, 100%. 100%. Yeah. I believe Rock of Love I could be mistaken, but it feels like Rock of Love was a follow-up show to the Flava Flav.
Yes, it was. Yes. Because I feel like we missed that one, but then they rolled out Rock of Love.
Right. Flavor of Love.
Rock of Love.
And then it was Rock of Love. And then, because we have apparently no shame at all, we watched Shot at Love with Tila Tequila.
Yes. They all slept in one giant bed. It was so salacious.
Yes. That one was, for our listeners who haven't seen that show, again, dating competition reality show, but the star was Tila Tequila, who I guess had become famous as sort of like an adult entertainer on YouTube. And she was bisexual, and so it was men and women on the dating show, and they all slept in the same bed together, like all 13 of them. It was a giant bed that was like the entire room.
Giant bed. Yeah. Oh my gosh, it was so trashy. So great.
So trashy. We definitely got our roommates hooked on that show, though, because we lived in an apartment with 2 other girls. And I just remember the season finale was right before Christmas break. And my dad had come up to like pick me up for Christmas break. And we were like, hey, it's cool you're here, but we actually have to watch this finale of Shot at Love with Tila Tequila right now. Because it's really important that we know what is going on in this show how it's going to end.
That's right, because no recording, no direct TV, like no whatever. So like if we missed it, how would we know who won?
Exactly.
Like, look it up online. We
had to know. We had to know. So I will say that we're going to talk about reality TV shows today, and this may be a bit of a biased take on it since Katie and I were clearly steeped in reality television. At various points in our lives.
Yes. The early days.
The early days of reality TV. Although, as I learned, actually really wasn't the early days. Like 2007, 2008. Actually, not really the early days at all. It was actually more like the mid-heyday a bit.
Yeah. It started earlier than what I anticipated, too.
I'll caveat this whole conversation. The genre of reality TV, they have retroactively applied that label of being a reality TV show to even earlier TV shows that at the time wouldn't have been considered reality TV because that genre didn't exist as a thing. So, for example, one of the earliest shows that has been retroactively classified as reality TV is Candid Camera, which I didn't realize. Candid Camera is basically as old as television. The first season of Candid Camera premiered in 1948 and actually was not even an original concept. It came out of a radio show that was called Candid Microphone, where radio producers would go around asking questions and like trying to get reactions from people for the radio show just on the microphone.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and then when TV happened, they were like, oh, let's do Candid Camera and put it on TV instead.
Yeah.
But, so it is technically an unscripted show, which is why I think they've retroactively classified it as reality TV, but it's also, I think, a little different than some of the reality TV shows that we're going to talk about today, because it was like purposely putting people into crazy situations in order to elicit a reaction from them.
And they didn't know that they were on a TV show, correct?
Right.
So that's another thing that I feel like the term reality TV, you could maybe loosely apply it to Candid Camera.
Yeah.
But to me, that's kind of a separate deal.
Yeah. I will say some of the other early shows that have been classified as reality TV are interesting. I'm going to mention this insane example only because it's the most insane thing I've ever read. This show is sometimes noted as the oldest reality TV show. It's from Germany in the 1940s, and it's called, this is German, so excuse my pronunciations, Family Kronken, ein Abend mit Hans und Gelli. But basically, it was a TV show that depicted the unscripted lives of a young couple who were aiming to be a model Aryan family. And so basically, it was just Nazi propaganda.
Yeah.
Which is insane.
I mean, I think that just goes to show you that they understood how much media could influence the public.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, it's so uncomfortable, but at the same time, I was like, that's wild.
Yeah.
So that one probably would be reality TV because technically it was unscripted. Technically, they knew they were on a TV show.
Yeah.
However, they were trying to
there was
be
a
model. Right, there was sort of a
there was
plan.
a message, right?
Yeah. So
an underlying motive for
so maybe not like shooting completely. But then in 1965 there was a show that ran on ABC for 20 years called The American Sportsman, which basically had celebrities and then sometimes their families doing outdoor activities like fishing or scuba diving or camping or whatever, and they'd have a film crew follow the celebrities around doing these outdoor activities. So that feels pretty reality TV to me.
I wonder what the appeal was of that. I guess if it's celebrities, maybe people just liked seeing them do everyday things.
Yeah. Or maybe they weren't very good at it because they were celebrities and camping doesn't come naturally or something. I don't know.
I'd love to see an episode of that. Maybe you should look it up.
I know. But I was surprised that it ran for 20 years. That's a long running
that's a long time.
Show. But if you actually get into it and dive into it and start researching reality TV as a genre, most media scholars are going to point to the first reality TV show as a 1973 PBS show called An American Family. It followed the lives of the Loud family. Their last name was Loud, so the Louds. And the goal of the creator of the show was that he wanted to showcase the drama that happens in people's everyday lives. So he basically just picked this family and was like, hey, can I follow you around? And I'll see what kind of drama exists in the average American life, basically. And what ended up happening in the show is kind of crazy because the parents ended up going through a divorce because of an infidelity situation. And so it showcased them asking for a separation and then going through the divorce proceedings. Also, at one point in the show, a fire consumed a part of their house.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. And then the other thing that happened that's interesting is their oldest son, Pat, moved out during the show's filming, and he moved to New York City. And so they did a couple scenes of following his life in New York City when he moved out. And while he was in New York City, he came out as gay and became the first openly gay man on television.
In 1973?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah. So I was like, oh, wow, this is kind of a crazy show.
Yeah.
From the 70s.
Yeah. I didn't realize a reality show like that would have existed that far back.
It feels a little documentary-ish, except for the fact that instead of the creator narrating it, he basically just followed them and let the families do their activities, and then he just edited it to show. So while it kind of straddles the line a little bit, I think it does fall into a reality show because they know they're on camera and it's not being narrated in a certain way. It's watching their lives unfold, essentially. The next show that defined the genre, which I didn't even consider until I started looking this up, in 1989, premiered the show Cops.
Yeah, man, that was such a big one too. I remember that being a big deal. That was a very popular show.
Yes. And the idea of Cops was that it followed, quote unquote, normal police officers doing normal police business. And it was pretty revolutionary at the time. It was the first TV show that introduced the camcorder recording look on TV. And it had a much lower production value or production costs than other TV shows because it was
the idea is like someone's just following them around with a camcorder on their shoulder, right? And so a lot of the footage was shaky, or you could tell they were running or stuff like that, which was, I think, unusual for that time.
Yes, exactly. And another thing that's really interesting to note about this show is that during 1988, there was a huge Writers Guild of America strike. And so because of this massive writers strike that was going on in Hollywood, there was a dearth of programming. And back in the 80s, we didn't have streaming. We had kind of limited cable. And so they were really looking for new shows, but they didn't have writers to write any new shows. And that's where the idea of Cops kind of came up, because it was like, oh, we don't have to write this. We can just follow cops around. There's been a lot of discussion, though, online, too, about how this show, for better or worse, also started during the major war on drugs era that was happening. And a lot of the cops that it showcased cops involved in the war on drugs, and how that may have perpetuated some negative opinions and stereotypes about the war on drugs that are still a little bit embedded in mindset today.
Interesting.
So it's actually still running.
Is it? Okay. I wondered.
Yeah, it's currently in its 37th season.
Okay. Because, you know, there are I've come across some other true crime shows lately that are not quite the same format as Cops, but they rely a lot on body cam footage from police officers. And then they also have ones where they follow detectives around, like working murder investigations. It's like a very real-time look at how that whole process works, instead of watching a documentary about something after the fact. Like, you are kind of seeing them work an active case.
Yeah, like during it.
Yeah, that has since been closed, obviously, but kind of more of the reality of what it takes to solve a case like that and close it. And then, of course, with like all of the body cams now, there's a lot of that footage that gets included on these shows as well.
So we had these sort of quote unquote reality TV shows that were existing prior to the 90s, but the big one that really first introduced the idea of unscripted television as a genre and a TV series type of thing, because there was that PBS one, but it was really just like a 12-part pseudo documentary, even though it was unscripted. But the big one that really introduced unscripted reality to TV show, and of course the one that I know I watched when I was growing up, I don't know if you watched it at all, but is The Real World.
Oh yeah, no. We didn't have MTV, so I didn't, but I know of it.
Yeah, I didn't watch it until later when I was in high school, but The Real World premiered on MTV in 1992, which is crazy because I didn't watch it till high school, so that would have been like 2002, and it had already been going on for 10 years at that point.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. And the premise of The Real World, if there are listeners unfamiliar, is that it's 7 strangers living in a house together for 3 months and basically just recording what they're doing. A lot of times they go and get jobs, or they're dealing with just like everyday activities and things like that. And really it was The Real World that pioneered a lot of what we think of as reality TV today, which is showing sort of the interpersonal relationships that end up existing between people on TV. And many of the reality shows that we have today are basically based on the premise of The Real World, not putting strangers in a house necessarily, but the way that The Real World was filmed with like confessionals and showing the fights and like other dynamics and stuff like that. Like a lot of that just came out of The Real World. It was groundbreaking in a lot of ways because, again, it changed the production of reality TV. It was very low budget, and it also pioneered a lot of other stuff that could be talked about on television. So, for example, it was one of the first shows that openly talked about HIV and AIDS and the AIDS epidemic in the 90s.
Oh, that's like right during that time where that was a hot topic too.
Yeah, it talked about abortion and like abortion debates. It talked about racism. It talked about just in general, you know, what it was like being gay. If you watch the new season of Queer Eye, Karamo Brown, he got his start because he was on The Real World Philadelphia.
Which I think is so funny. I had no idea that that's how he started out.
I didn't watch his season, but I've seen clips of him talking about what it was like being Black and gay in the 90s. And that all of that was sort of groundbreaking at the time to see people on television having real conversations about some of this stuff. One story that I thought was crazy in the third season was The Real World San Francisco, and a big plot line that ran through that season was one of the people on the show was Pedro Zamora, and he was a Cuban American AIDS activist, and he was actively living with HIV AIDS. And so it showed on the show his struggle with AIDS. Also, it showed the first ever same-sex commitment ceremony on TV because he ended up having a commitment ceremony with his partner. And then what was crazy is that the day after the finale of the show aired, he passed away from AIDS. That ended up being a pretty huge moment in cultural TV history, cultural history in general. Those are what I'd consider to be the pre-reality TV heyday shows.
Yeah.
And then once the 2000s hit, reality TV saw a huge boom, but a lot of those shows that started in the late 90s, early 2000s were competition reality shows.
Yes. Competitive reality TV really did kind of start in the late 90s, early 2000s. Before that, it really just would have been game shows, which are distinctly different because game shows are one episode, so a short amount of time. And the focus of a game show is really more on the puzzle, the trivia, the obstacle, whatever it is that they're supposed to be doing. So even though it's competitive and people are competing for prizes, it's pretty different than the competitive reality shows because we're talking about in competitive reality TV having an entire season to follow these contestants, and then they're purposefully putting them in situations to have that interpersonal interaction to add to the story as an aside to the competition. So it's like, which is more important, the competition or the drama that's happening on the side of the competition? Both are in the spotlight to create that, the pull.
I feel like when we were watching America's Next Top Model, you got to a point where you didn't want someone to do good because you didn't like them personally because of stuff.
Right. Yes. Right. Because of something they had said to someone that you did like, or some argument, or their whole attitude and how ungrateful they were, whatever it was, right? Or their background. Maybe you just didn't like their story of where, or on the flip side, I remember very much rooting for people who you're like, they have this underdog story where like they've had this tough life, they've overcome so much, and now they're here, and you like want them to succeed. I think that's like a classic part of competitive reality TV too, getting to know these people. So competitive reality TV was also happening in the early 90s as well. Not so much in America though. There were two shows in particular. One was a Dutch show called Nummer 28, which had the whole idea of putting strangers together in a house, like Real World. So it was actually inspiration for the Real World. And it also had the confessional interview format that would inform a lot of reality TV after that, like you were talking about. And then there was also Expedition Robinson, which was a Swedish reality show that was a competition, and it basically became Survivor.
Man, what was going on in the Netherlands.
The Netherlands?
Sweden.
And Scandinavia?
Yeah. That they're coming up with these shows.
Thing. There were several examples. Those were the two big ones, but there were other ones too that were kind of starting to catch on there. And then US TV executives were like, let's give this a try because it's successful over here. So I think Survivor is probably the first real competitive reality TV show. It aired May 31st of 2000.
I remember when Survivor first started, and it was huge.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. And it still is huge. It's still on.
It's still going?
Oh, yeah.
I didn't even know
happening.
That. Wow. Yep. Oh, wow.
Season 50 just ended. There's
50?
50 seasons, yes.
Oh, my God. That's crazy.
Yeah. It is a juggernaut of reality TV, for sure.
Wow.
You know what's funny, too, is I've never watched it.
No, same. I've never watched it either.
I know it's incredibly popular. I've never watched it. So in Survivor, if you live under a rock and you don't know what Survivor is, or maybe you don't watch TV and there's no judgment there.
I mean, honestly, I've never watched it. I don't really even know much beyond the premise.
What's funny is I've never watched it, but I know the references to it because it is such a pop culture phenomenon that I know what people are talking about when they talk about like the tribal council or like that kind of stuff.
The idols or whatever.
Yes, and I'm not here to make friends. That comes up a lot. We have someone at trivia who likes to yell that a lot towards the end of the night. Like if they're winning, she's like, I'm not here to make friends. And it's really funny. Everybody laughs. Survivor puts people in a remote location. I think a lot of them have been islands, but there was one in the Australian outback, things like that, in these survival-esque situations. And there are competitive things that they have to do in a survival capacity. And everyone is competing for $1 million. That's the ultimate prize. So that's a lot.
Yeah,
a lot of money.
$1 million is a lot of a prize. Okay.
And then at the end of each episode, they vote someone off the island, right? That's where that phrase comes like, oh, you've been voted off the island. That's Survivor.
Okay.
So the first season became a hit. The finale pulled in approximately 50 million viewers.
50 million?
Yep. Making it the second most watched episode of television in that decade. Second only to the series finale of Friends. That's how popular it was.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. Yeah, that's crazy.
So then apparently in the second season, I was reading the guy who ended up winning, one of the competitors, he actually won not by winning the individual competitive games, but by the alliances and the relationships that he built with different people over the season to basically not get voted off the island. And I think once people saw that you could go on the show and not necessarily have to quote unquote win at the individual tasks or the events, it was really more about how you played your cards with your, you know, like who you aligned with, who you built alliances with, who you kind of hitched your wagon to, like, and you could win that way.
That's crazy.
So that became a much more, I guess, popularized, or in future seasons, you would start to see more and more people doing that, where there's more strategy in that respect, as opposed to we're competing in this crazy race or event or whatever would be on one of the shows.
So it's a competition, but at the same time, very like interpersonal.
Yes. Again, I should probably watch it.
I know.
After 50 seasons, let's
maybe
see what all the fuss is about.
Right. I was gonna say, maybe they hit on something good.
Right.
That situation.
So then the other major competitive reality TV show that really kicked off this genre was Big Brother, which you and I were talking about. In the back of my head, I thought Big Brother was more of like the real world, where it was people living together in a house.
Yeah.
It's a competition.
Okay. I didn't realize it was a competition because I never watched that one either.
I didn't realize either, and I didn't see it either. It also aired in 2000 in July, so only a couple of months after Survivor.
Okay.
And it's definitely one of those shows that a lot of people have pointed to as changing the TV landscape and also changing what it means to be a celebrity, like celebrity status, because there were people in the show who essentially were getting famous. I think because these shows were becoming so popular, people who were on them were up there with other celebrities, which I think was kind of unusual.
Yeah.
So Big Brother's also interesting because there was a Dutch version that was created in 1997.
Okay.
Apparently they were all about the reality TV over there. And the American version then, like I said, aired in 2000. And it is still going as well. And the 28th season premieres in July of this year. Yeah. I know.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't know
know
either.
these shows were still going on.
I know. Me either. I was
crazy.
shocked. Apparently my reality TV viewing is in a separate network.
Yeah. I guess it's true because these are Survivor and Big Brother. These are network TV shows.
Yeah.
Right? And I would watch other channels like MTV or CW. That was what America's Next Top Model was on. And
I'm a sucker for TLC now. Their whole reality brand is a whole thing as well.
Yeah.
So,
wow. Okay. Yeah. I didn't realize Big Brother was still going on.
And so the premise of Big Brother is, again, people are put into a house to live together. The difference here is that they use cameras that are mounted in every single surveillance style cameras.
Okay.
So it's like there's cameras in every room and there's 24-hour monitoring basically of the living situation.
Right.
So in that way, it's some of the most real reality TV because they're really just taking footage from here. We put these people in a house together and record it. It's not even cameramen following them around necessarily.
Yeah, I could see where that's a genre defying situation. Yeah. Because I feel like a lot of reality now is where they just mount cameras in rooms.
Yes. Yep. And the first season relied on public voting of who would be evicted week to week. So what made it a competition was there was a cash prize at the end of $500,000. And then week to week, someone would get evicted from the house. And the first season was public voting, but then they shifted to the cast actually deciding who would stay week to week, which I'm sure creates more drama because then it's them voting. Or maybe they saw how well it worked for Survivor and they were like, we should do it that way. The first season of Big Brother was more focused on what they called a social experiment aspect, right? So putting all these different people together in a house and seeing what it was like for them to live together, kind of like the real world.
Right.
But there was a prize at the end and there were different competitive things they had to participate in. The first season received mixed reviews. And so they then changed the format going forward to be more competitive and to have more of those competitive type events throughout the season to mimic the Survivor
interesting
model. Yeah, I didn't really know much about Big Brother either, but apparently that one was a big deal.
Well, I mean, if they pioneered the idea of surveillance cameras as footage, I guess.
Right. And then, of course, we talked about American Idol. So that one is also a very early on competition reality TV. I think this one also is interesting because it falls into a little bit of a subcategory of talent competitions.
Right.
Because there's this whole offshoot now of America's Got Talent, American Idol, The Voice, things where people are competing based on a talent that they have, but there's still a reality TV aspect to it because, again, they're following these people around through the competition. They spend a lot of time on their backstories and interviewing them and stuff like that. So it's a meshing of talent competition plus some reality TV aspects.
Well, and I think American Idol is interesting too because like what you were saying with Big Brother having potentially launched some people into celebrity status.
Yes.
American Idol obviously launches people into celebrity status.
That's like the goal.
And even when you don't win,
right,
you can become pretty famous, right? Like Adam Lambert didn't win his season.
Right.
Which
but
is
he's like one of the most successful contestants.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, so American Idol actually started in the UK, and it was brought over here by Simon Cowell. He was one of the original judges, so he created it. And it aired in 2002 in America. In the first season, of course, Kelly Clarkson won, and she's one of the most successful contestants ever. And contestants were basically competing in a singing competition, and the prize is a record deal, right? They make a record, and they get a single, and like you said, I think it has become so popular and so much a fixture that, according to Billboard magazine, in the first 10 years, American Idol spawned 345 Billboard chart toppers.
Oh, wow. I wouldn't have even guessed that many.
So we're talking some of the notable ones: Kelly Clarkson, Carrie Underwood, still huge. Yeah. Still huge in the country world. Clay Aiken was actually very successful. His album sold really well.
Okay.
And then Jennifer Hudson obviously went on to do movies.
Right, Dreamgirls.
Yep. And then you mentioned Adam Lambert as well. So he not only had successful albums, but now he tours with Queen, and he's the front man for Queen, which is kind of amazing. And the reason that happened is because of American Idol. So I watched a documentary about this.
Oh, yeah.
In that season, Queen was a guest on, maybe it was the finale, but I remember seeing this because Adam Lambert had sung Bohemian Rhapsody earlier in the season, and he had gotten such accolades for it. He's really built for like that kind of
and he's so theatrical too.
Yes, exactly. Anyway, in the finale, Queen was part of the finale, and Adam Lambert and then the other guy who ended up winning, I think his name was Chris something. He was just this average cute dude with a pretty good voice, but he reminded me of John Mayer. He needed a guitar and to just kind of like sing a nice acoustic song. But they had to sing with Queen together, and it was painful because clearly the other guy, the Chris guy, was not up for it. And Adam Lambert had this incredible range and this ability to sing that type of song. But anyway, later Queen said that they saw Adam Lambert perform, and it really struck them how well he did. And also they just liked his personality, his kind of flair, that theater. It kind of reminded them of Freddie Mercury. They specifically said, but it's not like he was replacing Freddie Mercury. It was like he had his own thing that he brought to it. I see, but it was like that missing, like the X factor. He had that X factor that we needed, that Freddie used to have too.
Oh, that's nice.
I know, right? So that's actually how they kind of found out about him, and then ended up asking him to be their frontman and to go on tour with them. And so that's what he does now, which is crazy.
Well, and I know like Kelly Clarkson, now she's launched herself. She has a daytime TV show,
talk show
and stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. American Idol was really, I think, a kind of revolutionary in the way it made the people who participated so famous and obviously successful.
Yeah, launched careers.
And American Idol is also still going on from 2002 to 2016. It was on Fox. And then ratings started going down around that time. And there was a 2-year hiatus where it went away. And then ABC acquired the rights and revamped it. And it came back, which I didn't realize. After we watched it together, I didn't really pay attention after that. It was like too much to keep up with, I guess.
I think I watched like 3 seasons of it total.
Yeah.
And it became a lot too, because they started showing it like twice a week, and then it just became a huge investment to try to watch it.
Yeah, funny enough. So you know how they used to have the performance show one night, and then the next night would be the results show.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So to tell you who had won, because they were having the public vote, right? So you would text in or call in your vote or whatever. Then they would air the results the next night. So it didn't actually start like that when Simon Cowell started in the UK, but in the US, because of all the time zones, they couldn't do the results in the same night as the performance.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's why it ended up having to be a 2-night thing. And then, like you said, I kind of feel like they really tried to capitalize on that a lot of time when it became popular. Yeah, it became such a time investment. The results show was long. It took forever to get to the results. It had to be a whole thing. And the performance nights were a whole thing. And they had to show...
Yeah. And it was just a lot.
And
yeah, it was like before DVRs and all that. So it was a lot of time to catch it all.
I remember sometimes tuning into the very last 10 minutes of the result show and being like, I don't need to see all this crap.
Yes.
I just want to know who's going forward and who's not. And then, so 2 other honorable mentions, because, I mean, obviously we can't talk about every reality TV show that's in this genre. I know The Bachelor and The Bachelorette are also giant ones that came about during that time that are still going. And of course, they did The Golden Bachelor and The Golden Bachelorette recently. There's those, the relationship competition again. But 2 others that I think stick out to me, and maybe because they've had recent documentaries that I would highly recommend, is The Biggest Loser and... Yeah, and America's Next Top Model. Yeah.
Yeah, and America's Next. I watched that documentary, and that was crazy.
Yes. Fascinating stuff. So, Biggest Loser in particular, I wanted to mention this one because this one was also very different from a lot of other competitions because it literally took people and put them into a weight loss competition and actively change their bodies and their health over a short period of time, which I used to love watching The Biggest Loser. And what I loved about it was it always seemed like, or the whole shtick was, we're in an obesity epidemic in America and everybody knows this. And there's these people who are struggling and they come on here and they want to lose weight and they put in all this hard work and through pure grit and determination, they are able to make these giant accomplishments in a short amount of time. Looking back, and also after watching the documentary, we're talking about a 12-week show where people who are seriously medically overweight and obese are coming on and in 12 weeks sometimes lose as much as 200 pounds.
Oh my God.
I was looking at the amount of weight lost in some of the seasons. The most I saw was one contestant lost about 50% of his body weight in 12 weeks. It's nuts.
So unhealthy.
Yes. So I just think it's interesting, like looking back, hindsight, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, so this one really was in a class all of its own, because I don't know of another reality show that put someone's health as part of a competitive engagement and on full display in the reality TV sense, and for a cash prize. They're competing for money, so there is a big incentive at the end too to win money. And then, obviously all these people who have struggled with their weight for who knows how long, maybe most of their life, and are, again, medically overweight, and they put them in this situation for 12 weeks with 2 trainers who run them pretty hard in their workout regimens. It would come out later too that a lot of them were not eating adequate number of calories. They weren't hydrated enough, because then in the competition aspect of it, there would be a weigh-in day, right? And if you don't lose the most weight, then you're going home. And so leading up to that weigh-in day, they would do things like not drink water, not consume anything in an effort to shed the most pounds. All of it under the guise of, we're getting people healthy, right? I mean, that was the message. Yeah. And they even would have a disclaimer at the end about how their contestants are monitored by a doctor and stuff like that. If you watch the documentary, you know that the doctor, despite his best efforts and some of the recommendations, the producers ignored that and would still push contestants to do whatever they need to do. And because they wanted to have these dramatic moments, right? The trainers were encouraged to be extra tough and push them extra hard. I mean, like every freaking show, there was someone throwing up after exercising or collapsing or something like that, because it's like so dramatic. So I feel like It's just a very interesting example of reality TV. And I think maybe a little bit of the darker side of reality TV in that what they were doing for entertainment's sake and really putting these people in jeopardy in terms of their own health. The show was canceled in 2016 after they did this longitudinal study of contestants and found that not only were past contestants gaining back the weight that they had lost during the show, but then when they were attempting to lose weight again, their metabolism was not recovering.
Oh, crap.
Properly.
Yeah, they ended up with like health issues and other things.
Yes, because of that extreme treatment of their body and it threw everything out of whack kind of deal.
That's awful.
And so it has caused long-term problems. Most of them have gained like all the weight back, if not more, which means that they're back in an unhealthy state. And then a lot of them, through their own testimony, have also said that they've suffered through eating disorders and other things after being in that environment, right? And this kind of extreme weight loss goal that it's just really had an overall negative impact. The premise of the show, like, not great.
Yeah.
Not a good situation.
Yeah. I feel like that was similar to some of the stuff that came out in the America's Next Top Model documentary too.
Which is why I wanted to bring that one up as well after watching that documentary and kind of reflecting on some of these shows that we had watched. But yeah, similarly, so America's Next Top Model is these girls come in and are competing for what they're told is like a modeling contract with CoverGirl.
An elite model management.
Yes, that's right. And they're also put into a house to live together so that you get that reality TV drama of all these girls living together who are also competing to become models. But yeah, after watching the documentary too, and honestly, I think you and I have talked about this, like looking back on that show, especially in the early 2000s where extreme thinness was in. They really criticized some of those girls who were not by any means fat or whatever, but they would nitpick their bodies apart and encourage them to eat less, lose weight, probably to an unhealthy extent, all because that's what the modeling industry demands of them. And I will say, like, that may be true that the industry in general is dysfunctional in that way, but then to have the competition on top of that, I think pushing it in that public way was also just extra damaging, in my opinion. Some other things that came out in the documentary too was there were definitely some exploitive moments to create drama. There were definitely some
like manipulation of who was the best. Like sometimes they wouldn't use people's best photos.
Yes, that too. Like some rigging of the judging because they wanted to keep certain people around because maybe there was more drama around them or more.
Yeah. Or people that they thought the industry would actually respond better to in terms of giving them the contract. Because like they kind of had to actually get a contract. They couldn't just be Joe Schmo on some level.
Right. Yeah. And then some other questionable things that came up with like the photo shoots and the themes of some of what they were asking the women to do and not really respecting their right to say, no, I'm not comfortable with that, or I don't want to do that kind of thing. It was all a lot of pushing to be like, well, you have to do it. And this is just how it is. This is how it's going to be when you're in the industry. And again, maybe there is a dysfunctional industry behind this, but to also promote that in the public space of a reality show, again, not great. And then also the thing that really shocked me that I did not realize is that they always had this list of what these girls were going to win. And you get this impression that they're going to be these successful models that come out of this show, that they're going to have these opportunities that they would not have had otherwise. And it turns out that the contract was not a great contract. It was kind of like, yeah, you have a contract with this model management company, but they don't have to book you places. They don't have to give you jobs. They don't have to use you. You're just one of their models. And so you may or may not work. And then on top of that, what the women who participated in the competition were saying was that going into the industry from that reality show kind of put you at a disadvantage because a lot of the modeling industry looked down upon that whole reality competition aspect. and they didn't want models who had been part of this very public show to be coming in to the agency and stealing attention, or they weren't taken seriously. Okay, great, you won this competition, but that doesn't mean you're a good model kind of thing. And so it actually ended up being a very uphill battle for a lot of them, even after winning the competition.
Yeah, it is interesting because even though reality TV has launched people into sort of celebrity status, I thought that was fascinating that for America's Next Top Model, it was almost too early in some ways, because I think if something like that was happening now, there'd be a lot more interest in having them be influencers or something like that and capitalizing on that celebrity status. Whereas back in the early 2000s, being a well-known figure in that reality way was not viewed the same at all.
And not to mention that we're talking about the modeling industry, right? Yeah. So on the one hand, you have American Idol, where even if you don't win, if you're popular with the public, you're getting deals and you're performing for people and stuff like that. But in the modeling world, the public has nothing to do with it, right? It's the designers, it's high fashion, it's who they're choosing for the runway and for their ad campaigns. And that is a very different world to be respected in or included in than just the public eye.
So a lot of the reality TV in the early 2000s was competitions, which may or may not launch you into celebrity status, but there were a few that stood out as not being competitions that I wanted to also mention. Ooh. So a big standout was in 2003. I don't know if you remember the show, but The Simple Life.
Oh my gosh, yes. That was such a big deal when that came. I never watched it, but I remember hearing about it.
Yes. So it was like someone who already was a celebrity that then they put into a reality show. So it was Paris Hilton and her best friend, Nicole Richie. And it was the two of them basically going around the US trying to do typical working class things. Like they'd get jobs as like a fast food worker or a dairy farmer or whatever. And so it was, I guess, in some ways, maybe similar to that American Sportsman show or something, where it's showing this like high class celebrity woman and her friend trying to do average American stuff. But The Simple Life was pretty big at the time. And then the other one that I don't know if you watched too, but in 2002, The Osbournes.
Yeah, I remember hearing about it. I never actually watched it.
Yeah, these were both MTV shows. So I think it was this like, oh, we already have the Real World that's really successful. Like, what else can we do in the reality TV vein? But again, The Osbournes was this idea that we already have a celebrity and then we're going to showcase their life. So it followed Ozzy Osbourne and his family and what they did on a daily basis, essentially. I didn't realize that the Osbournes actually came out of an episode of Cribs. I think I was really down the MTV rabbit hole at this time in my life. I don't know what was going on before TRL or whatever, but Cribs was basically a show where every episode they would tour a famous person's house and show off that person's house. And so the Ozzy Osbourne episode of Cribs was super popular. And so they were basically like, oh, can we just make an entire show about Ozzy and his family? And so in 2002, that's where the Osbournes came out. And that show was one of the maybe first shows where it was objectiveless. So there was no objective to the show. Like even in The Simple Life, it was showing them having an objective, which was trying out these jobs and stuff like that. But with the Osbournes, there wasn't an objective. It was just, let's watch the Osbournes and their life.
Live, exist. Yeah.
Yeah. But it was one of the first celebrity family TV shows. So you're just showing like the family life of a celebrity. And it ended up opening the door to a lot of other celebrity family type TV shows because it was so popular. The first season of The Osbournes was the most watched TV show that MTV ever had, period.
Wow.
At the time, it was MTV's most watched TV show ever. And then, yeah, like I said, it opened the door to other shows like the Real Housewives franchise, where you're watching rich people, family drama. And then, of course, in 2007, Keeping Up with the Kardashians is probably well known. What's interesting is I looked up some stats about the Kardashians because I assumed that like everyone's just watching this show because people keep talking about the Kardashians all the time. It's not that many viewers. The most watched episode of Keeping Up with the Kardashians had 4.8 million viewers.
Okay.
So, I mean, it's not nothing, but that was the most watched episode. Less than 5 million people watched it.
But what's so interesting is that's enough for someone like Kim Kardashian or the other Kardashians to launch all of these brand-based businesses that are making them tons of money.
And this is, I think, a big flip. And what I was kind of getting at with the America's Next Top Model thing is that in 2007, Kim and Khloe Kardashian agreed to do the Kardashian show specifically because they were trying to drive more business to their boutique that they owned. And so in 2007, that's, I think, when we start seeing a shift of like, wait, we can use reality TV to market other stuff.
Things. Yeah.
Because of course, Kim Kardashian ends up having lots of brands, right? She's got like Skims and like all of her brands, and then
maybe
Kylie.
I don't know. I can't keep them all straight.
I can't. But yeah, so it ended up working out for them. Keeping Up with the Kardashians is the highest ranked show on E! Network. So they've created a ton of spin-offs as a result. It's basically keeping that network afloat at this point. And then the other one I want to mention, probably because I was like big into it too. Remember how we were talking about Cops and the reason it started was because of a writer's strike? So in 2007, there was also a writer's strike, which started on November 5th, and it lasted for 100 days. So it was a very long writer's strike, and that had ramifications in a lot of scripted TV. There was ramifications, but some ramifications for unscripted TV. And one of the big ones, I watched a documentary about this, and they mentioned it, but one of the big ones was Jersey Shore.
Yes. One of your faves.
Oh man, I was so into it. I was so into Jersey Shore. But they mentioned in the documentary that in 2007, they were trying to come up with TV programming, and it was during the writer's strike. And that's basically when they conceived of Jersey Shore, and they credited that writer's strike to it. So Jersey Shore started filming in 2008, and it really was a huge phenomenon at the time. If you're not familiar, it's basically a group of strangers who identify as being part of the Italian American community, and they essentially rent a shore house on the New Jersey shore for the summer, and it's just them being recorded. And again, it's sort of that Big Brother idea because there's just cameras everywhere.
Okay.
And
they're just like normal people, like quote unquote normal people, right? They're not celebrities, right? Like they were just people.
They were just people that sent in audition tapes. They sent in like home recorded audition tapes, and the producers just picked them. And so the first couple episodes, you get to see some of the footage from their audition tapes about why they want to go, and then showing them their room and where they live and why they want to be a part of the show. And then, they just end up in the house together. And a lot of the cameras are just mounted cameras. And they did some interviews later from some of the cast members saying how, like, the only place in the house that there wasn't a camera recording them 24/7 was in the bathroom. And so it's why a lot of them took like 3-hour long showers, because it was the only time they could get away from being on camera. They also had to relinquish their cell phones for the show, and they had just a landline phone in the house when they needed to get in touch with anything at all. So even if they were like calling their boyfriend or whatever, they had to just call it on the landline, which was them being recorded. So literally everything is them being recorded. But it was really popular. Season 1 was the #1 television series on cable for the 12 to 34 demographic. And then season 2 was the #1 TV show on all television for the 12 to 34 demographic.
Wow. Okay.
So as millennials, it was like the #1 millennial TV show at the time. The first 4 episodes of season 3 were the most viewed telecast on MTV ever. And those episodes had over 8.5 million viewers. So like twice as many viewers as even the most popular Keeping Up with the Kardashians episode. And it spawned 2 spin-off shows. Snooki and JWoww had their own show for a while. They had 4 seasons. And then the Pauly D Project, he had his own show for a little bit. And it also spawned 17 versions of the show around the world. So kind of like how America's Next Top Model now has Brazil's Next Top Model and Italy's Next Top Model and whatever. The Jersey Shore also has other shore shows in other countries, like like the Warsaw Shore.
What?
And the Acapulco Shore. So there's other shore shows in other countries. And then in 2018, the cast of Jersey Shore came back together to create a new show, Jersey Shore Family Vacation, which is still ongoing. That restarted in 2018 and they're still doing that. Yeah. I've watched the first like 5 seasons of Family Vacation, and it's actually kind of cute because now they're all 10 years after the Jersey Shore ended, and now they all have families and kids, and it's like them with their family life, and sometimes they go on trips with all of their families and all their kids together.
Real life friends.
That's kind of what it became, is these strangers that end up becoming this mixed up Italian family, essentially. And then I wanted to mention 2 other shows that also were kind of in this time frame. One is Duck Dynasty.
Man, I remember that.
Duck Dynasty, I have to mention this one because it started in 2012, but it became the most popular cable reality TV show series ever.
Really?
Yes, which I didn't realize.
Yeah.
So Duck Dynasty is about a rural family who became well-known and earned their family money, legacy, whatever, because of their business, which created a duck call. So literally they just are like, I don't know, an empire built on a duck call for hunting. And so it just follows them. But the season 3 premiere had 8.9 million views. The finale had 9.6 million views. And then the season 4 premiere had 11.8 million views.
Wow.
Which, I mean, I get it doesn't touch Survivor or
but that's still
American Idol, but it's a lot of people watching that show. The one thing that's really notable is that it's a huge rural audience. So about 30% of the people that watch that show are rural, which is a very high percentage for any TV show.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. And so it's interesting because it like...
They tapped a new demographic.
Yes. And it also follows the same vein as other rich celebrity shows. Same as like the Osbournes. We're still following a wealthy family, but it's a rural American lifestyle wealthy family. And so it's brought up a lot of questions about like, can people be hillbillies when they are wealthy? And what is being a hillbilly really about? But that show ended up in controversy because of remarks made by the show frontrunner that were deemed inappropriate. It kind of ended around the same time period as, I don't know if you remember when Paula Dean made remarks and other people. It blew up in a lot of shows, I think, at this like 2016-ish time. And so that's why that show ended up kind of falling apart, is because people were making remarks that were deemed inappropriate. But yeah, it was super popular. And then I just want to mention one more, which is The Deadliest Catch.
We watched The Deadliest Catch.
Deadliest Catch also was pretty early on the scene. It started in 2005.
I had no idea that show was that old until we started watching it from the beginning too, because all the episodes are in HBO Max. So we started at the beginning. It's nuts. It's been nuts to watch.
So it's basically a show that was about the tough lives that Alaskan king crab fishermen face. And it sort of started out as like show just showcasing this crazy profession. But then when the 6th season rolled around, I don't know if you've watched the 6th season yet.
Yes. So. Yeah, we're like on season 20 something.
Okay, I won't spoil it then. I mean, I might spoil it for some other people, but basically when the 6th season rolled around, the feeling of the show changed a bit to be more like less of a show about a crazy job and more of a show about a family and how people are committed to each other in that industry. Because during the 6th season, one of the boat captains suffered a stroke on camera and ended up passing away.
Yes. We still get sad about it.
And the show was really applauded as a show for the portrayal of all of the emotionally complex decisions that the crew had to face in the wake of his death. And then the show ended up receiving an Emmy for outstanding programming the following year because of that entire thing. And I think it points to, again, a change in the way that we understand reality TV because of the Emmys recognizing this can be something that really gets to the heart of what people want to see in like people's emotional connection to a TV show.
I will say too that it's one of those shows that my impression is it is really reality TV because not only is it unscripted, but they're following them in these real life situations. And this job is their livelihood. And there are real dangers that the crew, the producers, and the captain are a part of. And so it has something that a lot of other shows don't, I think, in that way, is that you can't manufacture that kind of, those kind of situations that happen. And it's pretty incredible to watch too. The Coast Guard is a part of it. You see Coast Guard rescues. There are other people who pass away throughout some of the seasons because it is a very common thing, unfortunately, to happen in that industry. And they talk about that a lot. It's a really good show. There's nothing else quite like it that I have seen.
Yeah, I find that I'm attracted to the type of reality TV shows that you're seeing these real life consequences of people's actions. I don't know if you ever watched the show Moonshiners.
Oh, I remember that one. I remember hearing about it. Yeah.
I only watched a little bit of that show. I didn't get super invested into it, but basically it was taking part in Tennessee where there's a history of moonshining and illegal distilling, and it was following people who were illegally distilling moonshine in Tennessee. And one of the main guys ends up getting caught in the show and sent to prison. And then he died in prison. He passed away. And so it was like kind of, I don't know, it's an interesting tale to watch. And then because of that show, in 2010, there was a push to make moonshining legal in parts of Tennessee. And as a result, if you know that Old Smoky moonshine that exists, that's one of the distilleries that ended up actually becoming one of the first federally licensed moonshining distilleries in that part of Tennessee. It is a direct sort of result of that show. So I don't know. I think like some of these reality shows, it's interesting to me because there's a lot of real world ramifications and that's only continuing to grow, I think.
Yeah. You know what really struck me researching this episode was it was fun to go back and remind myself of some of these early shows that really kind of shaped the genre. And obviously we still have reality TV today and it's different. It has evolved than when it started in the early 2000s. But what really struck me is just the overall impact that so many of these shows have had on our culture, on businesses, on what we purchase, on what we pay attention to and on what we seek out as entertainment. And I really didn't think about how far reaching these shows could be. And in addition to that, the people on the shows, this has become a legitimate way for people to gain a spotlight and then go on and fill positions. Most notably, we have a president who was on a reality show.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And there are people in politics today that were in reality shows.
Yeah.
That is how they got their start.
Right.
Like that's
on the Real World. Some of the Real World contestants are now senators.
Yeah. So that to think about that, the impact that kind of genre of entertainment can have, because it is a genre that takes people from, like, they're not all celebrities to start. Some of them are very average, what you would consider kind of like average people that are thrust into the spotlight and then are able to take that and write it out to other things.
Right.
I had not really paused to think about that impact that whole genre has had.
I do wonder about that because today it's acceptable, right? That reality TV could launch your career. I do wonder about the impacts of that because I feel like, I know you and I have talked about this, the show Love is Blind. And how I can definitely tell sometimes when I'm watching that show that certain people are just trying to go on Love is Blind because they're just trying to launch themselves as like a famous personality.
Yes. To me, that's the biggest difference between reality shows today and when they first started is I see a significant increase in people who are there just because they know it is an opportunity to be, like you said, a personality, a potential celebrity. And so it kind of like mutes the meaning of some of the competition-based ones or these relationship ones where they're pairing people together. The people aren't even really interested in that part of it. Like they're there to either purposefully make drama. They purposefully, I think, are sometimes inflammatory or
trying to be controversial.
Yes, because then they'll get more camera time and then they're hoping that at the end of it, they have more social media followers or whatever. I'm not under the illusion that all reality TV is really real, but I'm just saying it used to be more real than what it is.
I think so. I mean, maybe not the competition parts. I don't know, but, and obviously everything's always edited.
Right.
Right.
Yes. Yep. There's a lot of factors.
But I do think that back in the early days, because the chances of you becoming a celebrity because you were on a show was much lower than it is today. I think the stakes were just different.
Yeah.
Like I'd be willing to bet that some of the early real people who were on the Real World, like people don't even know that they were on the Real World.
Right.
Like they just went.
Right. Because it was something that they just did and then it was done and then that was it. Like there wasn't a next step after that.
I know. It makes me wonder what the, I don't know, quote unquote future of reality TV is.
I also think there's a certain level of acceptance that just some of this is not real and that some of it is also just for TV and like some people, and sometimes people are just okay with that. But I think then it has to be what's the hook to kind of pull me in or like what's going to be the premise.
Yeah.
But it is definitely different than when it started. And I think it'll be interesting to see if it continues to have the same kind of impacts that early reality TV did.
Thank you for listening to Researching the Obvious. To learn more fun facts about everything that we're researching, follow us on Instagram at Researching the Obvious Pod, all one word. You can also follow us on Spotify, Amazon Music, or wherever you get your podcasts. If you know someone that you think would enjoy listening to all of our findings, please feel free to share or give us a review. Researching the Obvious is written, produced, edited, and hosted by Emily Fekete and Katie Nakanishi. Tune in next time to hear more obvious facts.